Smoke D, oh yeah. In the club, baby, come on.
Players come to play, ballers come to ball. Women come to flirt, and groupies do it all. The haters come to fight, and throw them out the club. These people come to party, everybody show some love. Players come to play, ballers come to ball. Women come to flirt, and groupies do it all. The haters come to fight, and throw them out the club. These people come to party, everybody show some love.
Smoke D, tip the dub, now I'm up in the club. Ladies scream my name straight, showing some love. My cousin in the corner gave a brother some dap. He can talk a fool to death, but I ain't trying to rap. Walk to the bar, but you know I don't drink. A ginger ale and ice, I'm feeling alright. Had some Bama at the table, sleep drunk as a skunk. Hennessy was in this cup, then he's throwing it up. Checking out the ladies coming up to the door. My favorite jam's on, so I'm up on the floor. Doing a little something with this cutie I know. Trying to see if I can take her home for sure. The night is still young, but I'm playing it cool. And hoping these Bammers don't be acting a fool. You only live once, it's how we living it up. You know that's how we do it when we up in the club. Come on.
Players come to play, ballers.
Hello, and welcome to the GULLUH Radio Show. Today in studio, I have a guest I would love for you to get to know. Live and direct in full effect, it's Miss T.A. Brody. T.A. Brody. T.A. Brody, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Thanks for coming through.
Thanks for having me on.
So, Miss Brody, why don't you tell me and my guests about you and what you do?
Okay. So, I'm a recently published author. I attended Norfolk State University, so I'm a graduate of an HBCU, major in journalism, public relations, and I've just always loved to write. I have just enough material probably to write 5 to 10 books, just off the bat. And back in probably around 2018, my mother and my best friend both passed away about 6 months apart. And it kind of gave me that opportunity just to start putting emotions and feelings down on paper. And so I started, bringing that all together. And then we kind of went from that. I started working on trying to publish some things. I was working with an magazine, and I published a few articles like Being Single and Satisfied, things you could do in DC for free. It's a lot of stuff you can do in the area for free. So I, wrote an article on that.
Okay.
Mocktails and cocktails. I was in with my shaker making drinks.
Hold on, say that again.
Mocktails.
Mocktails?
No alcohol.
Mocktails.
And
Okay.
cocktails,
And
yeah.
cocktails.
Mhm.
Wow.
So your cocktails, you had your alcoholic beverage in it,
Okay.
and your mocktail, you make it without.
Got you.
Mm-hmm.
Bet. See, learn something new every day.
I know, right? And when you start trying to bring those creative juices in there, you start coming up with all sorts of ideas. So yeah. So I started doing that. And then as 2019 was winding down, we know how that went. Next thing you know, we were in 2020 and we were in COVID.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know, what was going to happen next, how things were going to flow. To be honest, we didn't even know if we were going to survive 2020. So at that point, I just really started writing a lot more, writing with purpose, just in case something did happen, at least I had left a footprint. So
That's right.
Unfortunately, so yeah. Latter part of 2020, I had an opportunity. We were creating a virtual event, NSU Under the Stars. We were in the process of raising money for our Norfolk State University Alumni Association endowment fund. And so we did a virtual event. It was called NSU Under the Stars. And we had some past students, graduates that performed, and a lot of different things that were going to take place during that night.
Okay.
So we had a person that was supposed to sing, and probably the week before the event, they backed out.
Wow.
And so when we were trying to figure out what are we going to do? Who are we going to replace it? How are we going to, fill the space? We didn't have enough time, as with trying to, to do the videos and things. So
You have it.
I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, how do I fill this spot? I started writing. I wrote a poem. That was and the funny part was, for years I had wanted to write poetry, and I guess my muse just wasn't there. And the opportunity came, and The first poem I ever wrote was My HBCU Matters.
Wow.
Yeah.
Writers, I've said this several times in this show. Writers amaze me. Writers amaze me. And that's Norfolk State University under the stars, right? And
Yes.
that's you. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Just wanted to clear that up, make sure. Yeah, give it up for Norfolk State. A lot of alumni up in this area from Norfolk State, of course.
Definitely.
And well, yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, writers amaze me. And you just cold cock the poem just right out of the filler. That's a writer for you. You know, they can just make that stuff happen, man. That's
I mean, I just started writing. Next thing you know, I had a poem and I read it to a couple of people and they were like, hey, and it filled in the space.
It works. So what motivated you? It was a natural born talent of being a writer. Or I know you go through your courses, but what motivated you? Any like authors, well-known authors motivated you into who you are and what you became?
I think it was just kind of one of those situations where I've just always loved to write. And because Maya Angelou, she wrote some
wonderful
some great pieces. Right. So just kind of like put some things into perspective. Okay. And so as a Black female, writing is so my major was public relations, and I just really didn't branch out into the PR field, but the writing aspect has just followed me, throughout my career.
Okay, wonderful. So, where are you from originally? What are some of your humble beginnings?
So I'm originally from Southwestern Virginia, Roanoke, Virginia, about 30 minutes away from Blacksburg, where Virginia Tech hails.
Right. Yeah. Right. Roanoke.
Yes.
How long you've been living in this area?
So I have been here since 2014.
Okay.
I came here for a career opportunity, and to kind of turn this into my new home.
Okay.
Yeah, I lived down in the Hampton Roads area for, I don't know, years, like 20 years, 20 plus years after I graduated from Norfolk State. And so then an opportunity became available and I made the transition here.
Okay. Now, how was that? How did you, how was that transition as you 2014, that's only like 10 years here. So you still transitioning somewhat.
Right. And so, what's so funny, the first few years of me being here, I guess I was traveling a lot.
Okay.
Back and forth between my mom and, my best friend. We had been friends for like 20 some years. So yeah, traveling back and forth to there. And then after 2018, it was kind of like a standstill. I was here. So it kind of gave me the opportunity to finally see things here in the area. And today, coming to this area, I'm like, hey, this is kind of cool over here. I've been in Noma, but never like right in this general vicinity.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, and this building here is a landmark, is a Washington, D.C. landmark. This is the U-Line Arena, the Washington Coliseum.
Right.
And so you're here in a whole new different environment.
Right.
But yeah, DC has changed a lot, over the years. They just started calling this Noma like about maybe 7 or 8 years ago.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it has changed and it's more laid back now. But the good old days were the previous days. It was just a lot to do here, a lot more to do here. It was a more sense of community, but it's still cool to be here in Washington, DC.
Right. And then I guess in our discussions earlier, we found out we kind of have some
roots down in the Tidewater
area.
Exactly. Old Portsmouth, Virginia. I spent a lot of summers down there. My grandma, aunts, and man, yeah, just to get away from DC in the summertime and go down there in that country, those morals in that country, cooking and living and just having, that family. I come back up to DC with the country accent every day, and my friends, they nag me or whatever because I was talking like, I ain't, or I ain't, no, Bubba. My aunt Thelma, what they used to call her, Bubble Butt. Yeah. Bubble Butt? You mean Bubble Butt? Like, yeah, that's my aunt. But anyway, yeah, it was.
Then what's gonna really be funny is that we find out we have some relatives.
You never know. You never know in that area. You never know. Yeah,
right.
Chesapeake, Tidewater area. Yeah, a lot of roots. But yeah. So you bought something here today for us. Let's see what you got. Let's talk about that. What we got?
Okay, so my first masterpiece, I will say, is Reaching New Heights.
Reaching New Heights. Get to my eyeliner. Go ahead, stretch it out.
Okay.
All the way up.
Okay.
Screw. There you go.
Okay.
Reaching New Heights, baby.
Reaching New Heights, 60 days of affirmations. Okay. And so how I came about with this, I guess it was in 2021. I traveled to Alaska. I was gone for well, of course it was cold there, so there was no outside stuff. But yeah, so I was in Alaska.
Did you go to winter time somewhere? You did.
Well, it was August, but it was still cold outside. August was 35 degrees. Yeah, but it was still beautiful.
I bet.
The mountains, and because of the fact that it was colder, so it wasn't like I was going out hanging out on the beach or anything. I had the opportunity to sit inside in this observation area and just look out over the sunsets and sunrises, and it gave me a chance to write. And so, well, let me back up just a tad bit. So I have a friend of mine. He and I were talking, and we were talking about what I was trying to put together for a book. Okay. And so he said, let me just stop you. His name is Antoine. So he said, let me just stop you real quick. I said, okay. He said, you need to come up with something. You have to break this down into one specific item that you want to write about. He said, you have 10 books in one and you can't do that. So, so I'm like, okay. So I'm like, which one do I do? So after we had this discussion, I think I kind of came up with the idea of doing the affirmations, because I believe in, affirming words. Right. The affirmation, when you speak positivity into your life, you can affirm, positive things in your life.
Will it in the power of the mind. I believe it too. Yeah, the power of the mind, man. It's still not there's no computer faster than this up here. And you have the power to tap into other things and to attract blessings. So yeah, your mind is very powerful. It's more powerful than you think.
So ironically, just before we came on the radio today, an affirmation popped up that said, I am in the places that I'm supposed to be and creating my future. Wow. That may not have been exactly what it said, but something similar to that. So it was, I'm like, okay, I'm sitting
spot
at the table.
On. When you leave here, you might get a production deal.
I'm at the table. I'm at the table with Gary today.
There you go. You never know.
So yeah. So, and just in discussing things with people, you just don't know who knows who. And so conversation with a friend led me to you.
Wow.
So,
exactly.
Yeah. So the Reaching New Heights kind of came about. I started writing and, started out, I had 15, then I had 30, then I had 45.
15, 30, 45.
Oh, affirmations. I'm sorry, not books. Okay. Wow. No, not quite that. 15, 30, and then 45. And then, because I was trying to look at it as far as days. And then I came to 60. And then I said, let me cut this off, because if I don't, I'm going to keep going and I'll never get it to the point of publication.
Can you, for me and my viewers, break down some of those affirmations, the structure of affirmation in a book format?
Okay. So basically what I've done is I broke these down into chapters, and like, say, for example, day 2 is prosperity and greatness. And so for prosperity and greatness, today is a new day and it's going to be limitless. The tears of yesterday have been erased. I will be open-minded to gaining innovative knowledge. I will listen to my small voice. I am enough. I will not allow doubt to access my mind. Negativity will not be spoken from my lips. I shall prosper. Greatness exists within me. I'm telling you, y'all just got something good, because I don't have my glasses on, so I don't know how I was reading it.
See, Miss Brody, there you have it. You spoke it yourself. In words of affirmation, you don't even need your glasses.
I know, right? It's wonderful. So what I did a little different than most affirmation books, I added an additional portion to it. So after you read your affirmation, I give you some questions. And so 4 questions. And for this particular one, what limits were placed on your life? Are you learning to believe in yourself? List 3 words of positivity and name 3 positive changes that you will make this week. And so I wanted to add something a little bit different to the affirmation that will make you think, a little bit further than just the words on the piece of paper. I was at an event last week, and I was speaking with one of my customers, and she was saying, that's true. She said, because a lot of times when you read an affirmation book, you read those words, and then after you finish with the words, you put the book down and you keep going, and you don't think anything else about it. So my theory behind this format was, after these 60 days, you'll have notes. You'll be able to see, where you were on March 5th, 2023. 60 days later, you'll say, okay, hopefully you're in a different place or a different space. And so now you have, a little bit more information to move forward.
So you create a timeline.
Yeah.
And you're able to go back and see your success. Wonderful. That's a good spin to put on it.
And then that was how I came up with the journal. So I also have a journal.
Wing it up. There you go. We got a journal too.
The journal. So with the journal, you have blank pages, but you can date it. Put your title, date it, and then you have plenty of space to write your words. Or write down anything that you want to, journal or think about at that particular moment. So it's kind of like your old school diary.
Okay, so the book comes with its own journal, basically.
You can do the book and the journal.
And the book and the journal together. Wonderful. That's wonderful, Miss Brody. 60 days. And well, that's a love language, like words of affirmation, So I guess
absolutely.
Words, they got buzzwords, you got buzz phrases, words are very they're very important. I mean, you can use words and you can make words up. It's words are very like mentally you can break stuff down with words, of course, but
so I mean, because a word can break you down, a word can build you up. Words can be empowering, but words can also tear you down. So you really have to be careful about what you say to people. I mean, the words that you use when you're speaking to people, really cut, because they can really tear a person down.
Yeah, I've had that problem in my life. The words I use hurt sometimes, so I gotta kind of watch what I say sometimes. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna have to get you a book of affirmations.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a book of positive affirmations. That might help me out a lot. Well, we're gonna take a quick break, and we'll be back with Miss T.A. Broad. And we're back live and direct with author T.A. Brody. T.A. Brody. So, Miss Brody, have you ever thought about any film work? I mean, I know this is your first book, but you say you have a lot of unreleased material. And a lot of books are turning into teleplays, screenplays, TV series. How do you cross over into that? Or is that something that you've been thinking about? Have that crossed your mind that you can turn some of your material into TV film?
Yeah, I have thought about it. I don't know necessarily with what I have in my files at the moment, but I'm sure I could come up with something.
Well, you have a lot of
love stories, comedy. I don't know about comedy. Maybe more so about love.
Well, what else? I mean, suspense dramas, thrillers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I can come up with something crazy.
Romantic comedies.
Yeah, romantic comedy.
Okay.
I probably could do some suspense, some thriller.
Well, what about the material that you got now? I mean, are those mostly just drafts or?
Yeah. So ironically, I actually have a chronicle sort of 2020.
Wow. Okay.
And,
okay.
I take it from
that. Hey, that's a great idea. Just don't take people steal ideas.
I know.
But
they can't really steal what's in my head because it's what was going on in my head
exactly.
at the time.
That's your private, your life. Okay.
But
that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Chronologize that
the whole
2
year
or 3 years or.
Yeah, I mainly did for 2020, but I mean, I'm sure I could probably come up with something for 2021 too.
Wow.
Yeah.
And 2022.
Well, true.
Okay,
Maybe
so what else do you want us to know about Reaching New Heights?
As we were discussing earlier, I have various aspects that, I talked about prosperity and greatness. Okay. Recently, one of my friends who has a copy of my book, he said that this made him really start thinking about things. So it's about purpose. And so today I shall walk in my purpose, leading by example. I will desire significantly more than my present status. I will never be comfortable, nor will I settle. I will surround myself with individuals that have a larger vision than me. I will welcome each day and allow it to evolve into something extraordinary. I will continuously believe and I will expect abundance. My life is blessed. So the question that he asked me, he was like, how do you get to your purpose? How do you figure out what your purpose is? So I asked him, I said, well, what is it that you're passionate about?
Starts with passion.
My thing is I love to write, but just because I like to write, is that really what my purpose is? So I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm not so sure that I have really determined my exact purpose.
Okay.
But I think I may be on a path of figuring out. But at least I know that writing is, a key part to it.
Right.
And writing to affirm the positivity and the lives of others, I think is also a piece of it too. But I've been told that's not a purpose, which I know that's not really a purpose, but Yeah. But I believe that your purpose starts with knowing what you're passionate about.
Of course, it all starts with your passion and your desire to fulfill it.
Right.
And I guess again, like I say, writers amaze me, and and people who like produce music. I do a little music production. But I'm not a rapper. I sing a little bit, but I'm really not. But my thing is, Yeah, you have to believe in yourself and follow your dreams. Your dreams is your only scheme, as Curtis Mayfield would say. But yeah, it starts with passion.
Right. So I guess one of the questions is, what are you passionate about?
Me? Okay. Well, I mean, life, number one. And
Okay.
I guess with me, it all started with the automobile, man. I mean, for some reason, I knew what an engine was before I knew my parents' facial structure or I knew how to talk. And I don't know. God gave me this talent, and I kind of cultivated. Before I got into kindergarten, I had a distraction. It was the automobile, and I go through school, and people. As I grew up, people was just noticing, this phenomenon about me, and I just knew this car stuff. And then as I grew up into that, I became like the shop mascot. I was hanging in the garage as an 8-year-old, a 9-year-old, and as a matter of fact, I think in 1979 or 89, Marion Barry became the mayor. Hold up, no, that was in the 70s. No, he became I think it was the mayor. It was right after the shooting at the district building or whatever. But I remember he had a Volvo. I was in the shop and they was like, this is Mary. I thought it was Mary and Barry. I didn't know it was Mary and Barry. I thought it was Mary and Barry. So he had this green old Volvo. It had the first time I seen a telephone in the car. And they was like, that was Marion. But I didn't know who Marion Barry was at 8 years old. But I think he became city council member or something. He was city council member that year. So I always been around cars and shops and stuff. And then I was like, well, look, I want to grow up and have every car I want. It's probably about 10,000 of them. So I said, how can I do that? Well, actors make a lot of money. So that's how I figured, okay, well, I'll just get into TV film production. It's easy. And that was my dream. So by the time I was like 10, 11, 12, I learned the car business at 10. Like, I was ordering cars when I would stay home from school. And playing sick, and I'm like, yeah, I think I like the Mustang. I think that has
your mom and then would come home and find a
car
sitting in front of
No, I would dag on the order a car and just hang up and laugh it off. But I kind of knew now that was supply and demand, applied economics, and that car business. The world works like the car business. So I went through school. So by 13, I knew what I wanted to do, and I've done it. Very, very prolific career, and I did a lot of films. I lived in L.A. My father had a TV production. He had a TV show back then in LA, and I would watch him set his show up and do everything I'm doing basically now, the same age he was back then. But I had to leave DC and I had to go to that college. I had to go to LA. And if you're thinking about leaving home and going to Hollywood, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be living good. You might get hungry, cold, and weak, and you may have to sleep outside. And then you realize that you've been let down. Then you crawl inside your pride. Now, if you want to deal with the world, you got to love yourself. And once you learn to love yourself, you can love everybody else. That's real essence. James Funk. That's like the anthem, the DC anthem. But I actually left DC and went to Hollywood and all that, did that. Me and a couple of guys, Antonio Arnold, Malachi Malik, the real Vaughn Vito, Regina, Cookie. It was so many people that we left when we went out there. We migrated out there. Yeah, so and that's how I got here. And then I get back to DC. We wasn't really a film town then, but then I watched us grow into a film industry from the humble beginnings. I watched everybody come into business, and now we're going to be the next. Well, I call it DC Wood. So yeah, we're going to be like DC Wood,
Atlanta Wood,
or Hollywood, yeah. Atlanta Wood, New York Wood,
right?
But they all had their run. So the hub is here. There's a lot of talent here, untapped talent. Yeah. And so anyway, that's my passion. That's my background. And to the day, I build engines. I build race cars and stuff.
Oh, you do still?
Yeah, I do that. And I started my production company, Energy Films, like in 2000. INNER, capital G. Your energy. Your inner gangster. Your inner glow. Your inner G. Yes, right. And so started that in 2019. I did 3 films in 2019 as a first time producer. But then COVID hit, had a lot of things in rotation with COVID hit. So now they coming back in rotation. So anyway, so that's me, but this is about you, Miss Brody.
We can share the
spotlight.
We can share the spotlight today.
All right, that's cool. Well, we're gonna take another break and we'll be back with T.A. Brody, y'all. Show you right.
Yeah, smooth tip. Sometimes it's hell, yeah, and sometimes it's a lot of fun. The fantasies you experience, yeah, when you're so young, you're still growing, still growing. Yes, I'm still growing. I'm still growing. The reality you see when life just begun. Yeah. This element of life has a beginning. And no end. Sometimes you wonder where you're going, and where does life really lead? Many are called, but few are chosen. I hope you know when it's your turn to lead. Like me, still growing, brother, still growing, sisters growing, the brothers be growing, yeah. When it comes to revolution, it's down to brothers like me.
And we're back at the Gary Gullah Show with author T.J. Brody. T.A. Brody, I'm sorry. T.A. Brody. Okay. So have you had any book signings yet?
I have. So my very first book signing was in Chesapeake, Virginia.
Okay.
That was back in September. And that was kind of like a family affair. It was a real intimate situation. Where my longtime friends and family from Chesapeake, the Chesapeake, Virginia area, they were a part of that.
That was nice.
So it was really nice. It was at a wine bar venue, and the setup of it was just really, it was really nice. My publisher, she had wanted me to have some things in position in case we had to do some fillers or something. But she said when she was standing and she was like, "Oh my gosh, this is like amazing." It was almost like a reunion.
Okay.
You know, that kind of thing. And then I had another one here in the Arlington area. I think it was in November, and that was my Norfolk State University family.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you got great support.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had some really good support.
Great.
Yeah.
So what's next? You got any more signings coming up?
So I have, I'm going to be a part of, and it's a virtual event, but on March 26th, it's called the Black Book Show. April 15th, I'm going to be a part of a Black Author Expo. And then
Black Author Expo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That one's going to be in Woodbridge, Virginia.
Okay.
The Black Book Show is virtually, I guess it's like a Zoom event or something to that nature. And then May 6th and 7th, I have with another counterpart of mine, we have pre-Mother's Day pop-up that we're doing. And so that's going to be on May 6th and 7th. And with that, that's going to be in Arlington. And with that, we're going to have a few other small Black-owned businesses that will participate with that too. You know, jewelry makers, people, you know, just all sorts of candle makers.
Okay. That sounds
stuff like that. So yeah, we did one in December, which was pretty cool.
Where was that at?
It was in Arlington. It was the same place.
Way to go, Virginia! When you coming across the bridge and do some of that stuff in Northeast and Southeast,
I know, right? I know. I need to look into some places over here to try to do something.
Okay. All right, sounds good. Do you want to read any more passages from the book? Because it's very uplifting words in your Reaching New Heights book. Any more passages you want to read?
Actually, I got one more thing I want to toss out before we do that.
Okay, great.
I want to talk about another little thing that I've been doing. I started it in January. It started out as Cocktails and Conversation, but now it's kind of moved into Cigars, Cocktails, and Conversation. And you say, why cigars, cocktails, and conversation? Cigars, men. Cocktails,
my
women.
homies, Lance, Kirk, Papa Lou, Big West, Big Al. We do that. We go to a little bar and
right. So cigars for men, cocktails, women.
Cocktails for women.
Conversation. I want men and women to come together to have discussions. And so we talk about just all sorts of stuff.
Tight.
Yeah.
Oh, we need that.
So unfortunately, it's kind of hard getting these men in there, but
maybe I can help out.
Okay.
Maybe I can help out.
But yeah. Right. So I had one last night, and
where?
No, it's virtual. It's on Zoom.
Virtual.
Yeah, they're virtual. Okay, they're on Zoom. Yeah.
I thought it was in Arlington.
Well, Arlington is kind of artsy. That's how.
Yeah, that is true.
So that's true. That's why. But no, virtual. So I do them on Zoom, and they've been kind of intimate. Last night was the top three game. A young lady by the name of Lindsay McPhail, she created the top three game, and it's an R&B and hip hop game. And I'm gonna tell you, you might think you know about music, but by the time this game gets through with you, finding out, oh Lord, I don't know what.
Wow.
So that was real fun. And then I had a couple of young ladies that just started a podcast called the Dirty Roses Podcast.
Dirty Roses Podcast.
Yes, Dirty Roses Podcast. Yes. Right. Yeah. And they were there, Nick B and Lee Laree. Those are the hosts of the show.
Okay, Nick B, Lee Laree.
Yeah. So last night was we had a good time. We talked about all sorts of stuff, relationships, learned about throw something out here that I'd never heard of. The hospice wife. And I'm like, what the heck is a hospice wife? So basically that's in this day and time, dating as you get older, and if you meet older men, they may be looking for someone to take them to all their doctor's appointments.
Oh,
I don't know, but I don't know if that's just a made-up term or what. But
hospice.
Yeah, the hospice wife. Hey, I don't know, but hey.
Let's elaborate on that. How do the young ladies come up with? I mean, everyone got needs, but is that a thing that women are
I don't know
signing up for? Or?
No, I don't know that anybody's signing up for it or not. But as you get older and you start focusing on maybe dating an older person, and I won't even say hospice wife. It could be a hospice husband.
Could be
too.
A hospice husband.
Yeah, because I mean, it just depends on if you have a lot of different medical issues, then you're gonna need somebody to take you to your doctor's appointment.
Right. And I mean, hopefully, you know, and if you just love that person, then
it's not really hospice oriented.
Right.
Yeah. And so no, and that wasn't from the podcast. They didn't come up with that, but just somebody that was on the
these modern days,
right?
Man, you just
dating these days,
these titles and
yeah.
stuff.
I just read my affirmations and keep it moving.
Yeah. There you go. Read them affirmations. Where can we find this Reaching New Heights book of affirmations?
On my website, and I'm at www.creativelyinspired.org.
www.creativelyinspired.org.
O-R-G.
Brody.
Yes.
T.A. Brody. Okay, wonderful. Wow. Okay, so let's go out with some more of these affirmations.
Okay, let's see.
What you got?
What you feeling today? Potential and promise. Okay, how about we go with it?
Potential and promise.
Okay, let's go. I just opened the book, the page today. The teachings I received as a child were essential to shaping my adult decisions. I will use the power I hold within me to make choices that influence my current life and future. Today, I will take a moment to think about what I am feeding my mind and how that affects my outcome. The activities I entertain and my beliefs will impact my potential promise. I will not sit on the sideline of life. There is so much more potential on the inside of me. I will not allow anything to hold me back. I will concentrate on the visions and my victory. I will boldly move forward in faith.
Wow. Well, that's amazing. Yeah, my mom and stepmom would love that one. Yeah, okay. That's wonderful. You got to get this, man. These words of affirmation will really help some of us to just make it through a day. You know, the magic of words and how important they are. Wow, that's amazing.
So I have a bookmark, well, a couple of bookmarks that I've created, but this is one specific one that I've created.
Woo-wee. See that? Okay. Speak your future into existence.
And then the main thing, I use 6 minutes to a better mindset. Read, meditate, and journal.
Read, meditate, and journal. Wow. Very interesting. Well, wonderful, Miss Brody. It was wonderful having you here today. And you need to push this. This is amazing.
Thank you.
And let me give my your plugs and your contact information to my viewers again, please.
So my website is www.creativelyinspired.org. I'm also on Instagram at creativelyinspired_.
Okay.
And then Facebook, I have a Facebook group that I usually do positive and motivating words, usually daily stuff. And that's Creatively Inspired. It's a Creatively Inspired Facebook group.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, I'd like to thank you, Miss Brody, for coming on my show today.
Thank you for having me.
And we'll be right back. back at the Gary Gullah Show. I'd like to thank my viewers, for chiming in. Today, our guest, T.A. Brody, Miss T.A. Brody, and her book, Reaching New Heights. Check that out. There's a website. Very good book, man. It could probably help you out on your day-to-day struggles. Also, want to give it up and say happy birthday to my engineer, Also Focus, the man on the ones and twos. And if you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the Gary Gullah Show, DM me at Gary Gullah Show. That's on Instagram. Again, thank y'all for coming in every week and sticking with me. Like, subscribe, and share. And spring is starting. So be safe out here in these streets. And use some of these words of affirmations to kind of like stop the violence, or like, I'm going to say stop the violence, but don't put yourself in unpredictable predicaments. Think ahead, separate your emotions from your reality. And before you react, just take a deep breath and think about it first sometimes. I had to learn how to do that myself. But here it is, y'all. Reaching New Heights, T.A. Brody. Darian couldn't make it today. We're going to have Darian Turner in about, in the near future. But he sends his regards. So, yes, thanks for chiming in, everyone. Take care. Please like, subscribe, and share the Gary Gullah Show. And that's a wrap.
Rastaman de pan spot, just easy and cool, man. Listen on the song. You see me going through straight frustration, straight pain.